Working Fans Podcast. Cool.
Yep.
All right, here we go. Coming down 3, 2.
Welcome back for another week of the Working Fans Podcast. This is AJ. I'm the former wrestler. We've got Dave, the ultimate fan, here with us. As we do every week, our producer Joe likes to make us sound good and makes us look way more professional than we actually are. As always, you can find us on Twitter, that's @FansWorking, Facebook, Working Fans Pod. We've got email where you can reach out to us and please contact us to let us know what you think of the podcast and for any ideas that you might have. That's workingfanswrestlingpod@gmail.com. We're on Instagram where you can keep up with us at workingfanswrestling_pod. And then you can now listen to us on all major platforms, including Anchor.fm. We're on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Breaker, Overcast, Pocket Casts, Radio Public, Apple Podcasts, and you can actually check us out on YouTube. Now, it's important when you go onto the Apple Podcasts and YouTube, hit that subscribe button, give us a rating, let us know what you think so you can help us out and we can continue to do what we love and bring you guys in as fans.
Welcome to the 531, where we take our top 5 list on a particular subject, debate it down to a top 3, and then further debate it down to a top 1. We've got author Jake St. John sitting in with us today, and the topic is triple threat matches. The first list we have here is from Randy Osga. He's got Christopher Daniels versus Samoa Joe versus AJ Styles. Second on his list, he's got Punk versus The Miz versus Alberto Del Rio from TLC 2011. Third on his list, Angle versus Triple H versus The Rock. Fourth, The Rock versus Undertaker versus Angle. And fifth, Dudley's versus Hardy's versus Edge and Christian. Just real quickly, what did you guys think about that list?
Was there a match with The Miz in there?
Yeah.
Yeah, Punk versus Miz versus Alberto Del Rio from TLC.
I think anything with The Miz is automatically going to get a thumbs down.
Yeah, you catching on, Dave?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh man, poor Randy. We're always shitting on him. And hold on for a second. We got some claims that Randy thought you were drunk last week, Dave.
Oh,
Do you want to respond to these claims right now?
I don't know why he thought I was drunk. Maybe he thought I was being a little homophobic or something. Maybe I don't know what the whole deal is, but I said that AJ was a big fan of Goldust, especially the Goldust who liked to touch himself, that was his thing, and I'm not drunk. That's my best fucking friend, and if he likes Goldust touching his dick, that's his thing. Randy, mind your own business.
God damn, I thought I was going to catch the first wellness policy violation around here, but Dave, you took the heat on that one.
Yeah, apparently.
Now, we got Jake's brother Zach here, and his list is Douglas versus Funk versus Sabu, Triple H versus Michaels versus Benoit, Bryan versus Orton versus Batista. This is an interesting one. Devitt versus Ibushi versus Loki from Wrestle Kingdom 7. And Joe versus Daniels versus Styles from TNA Unbreakable. Pretty solid list.
I think we should go right to Jake's list because I find it funny, and Jake knows this, how similar him and his brother are.
We have never combined lists or talked about our list until after they were sent in either.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a question I wanted to ask you. Like, do you and your brother do you like similar things in wrestling, or does he like certain things and you're into other? Like for me, I love NWA Power. My brother can't stand it. Mm-hmm. I'm a big fan of MLW. He likes it, but he's not a week-to-week watcher. So are you guys more similar or different in your interests?
Yeah, I mean, growing up, we were very similar. We liked a lot of the same, a lot of the WCW, the Clash of the Champions. That was always huge. I think both of us took a lot of sick days from school. Whenever one of those was on the night before, we'd stay home and watch the tapes. I am huge for New Japan. New Japan that's my thing. And yeah, NXT, like we have very, very similar tastes as far as characters and things like that go. But yeah, we have very similar tastes, I'd say.
Who's Who was on your list, Jake? You sent me a text. How many, like, you have some of the same ones as Zach, I remember.
So, yeah, the only one, I didn't have the New Japan on the list, his Devitt match, but I had, in no order at all, was Brian Orton, Bautista for the storytelling. Mike Flynn reminded me about that one.
Bautista.
And then Benoit, Michaels, Triple H,
yeah.
When Benoit got crowned.
Yeah, pre-murder.
Yeah, pre-murder. The TLC, the first one, was Edge and Christian, the Dudleys and the Hardys, just because for what it did as far as TLC and the triple threat match. And I have thoughts on that one. I've got my own opinion as far as how well that was done. And then I had Funk Douglas, Sabu, it's promoted as the first ever three-way dance. I don't know if that's true or not, but... And then I had Joe, Styles, and Daniels, the X Division title match.
Tell us for a minute what your thoughts are on that Edge and Christian, Hardys and Dudley's match.
I remember watching the match, and if I remember, I should have double-checked, but I remember Edge and Christian during that match, they were kind of, I don't want to say safe, but it seemed like the poor Hardys just got murdered the entire match. And it seemed like it was the Hardys and the Dudleys that did all the work in that match. And I am a huge Edge guy. I love Edge.
Yeah.
But I felt like the Hardys and the Dudleys, they did all the work, and Edge and Christian kind of cleaned up, which is fine for what their characters were and everything. It doesn't take away from the match. I think the Hardys, like, they deserve all the respect in the world for what they did in that match.
Quick sidebar, too, because you talked about being a big Edge fan. One of the first times in recent memory, like, I popped huge was when Edge came back at the Rumble this year. I was watching that at a friend's house, and I was literally jumping up out of my chair. Like, I was just super excited. Love that guy. That was a great time in wrestling, and especially tag team wrestling, too.
I was just talking about Edge right when he came back, and I remember when they started doing the vignettes for Edge where he'd be like hiding in a street light or something and running down the street, and they had Edge written on the screen in this like weird fancy lettering, and I thought his name was Hedge. And I was like, what the hell? What kind of character is this? Why is he named after a bush and he's running down New York City in a trench coat? And it wasn't until finally when I realized his name was Edge, I was like, that makes a little more sense.
Yeah, thankfully for him, too. Probably worked out better.
Yeah.
So next up, we got a list from AJ.
Yeah.
We almost had an appearance from him this week, but fucked up on the recording.
Yeah, we lost that one.
Yeah, let's hope we save this one.
We got backup.
Yeah, Zicky Dice, if you ever go into the Maury show, we got you at the Cheesecake Factory. But his list, it has number 1, Funk versus Sabu versus Douglas. Mm-hmm. Goddamn, this next one is a mouthful. But number 2, it's Benoit and Malenko versus Public Enemy versus Taz and Rick Steiner.
Huh.
Yep.
I wonder if you could tell us what event that's from.
No, I don't think he can. He clearly looked that up online.
Third on his list is Tajiri versus Super Crazy versus Little Guido. You know, an old favorite. 4, we got Benoit versus Triple H versus Shawn Michaels.
Okay, that one, yeah.
And 5, he's got Charlotte versus Bayley versus Sasha Banks.
Yeah, I'm sure I made him tell me that event. He had to look that one up.
He's a big fan of ladies wrestling, so
yeah,
he had to get one in there.
Yeah, sure. Anyway.
So I'll get my list in next. I've got Dusty versus Steve Corino versus Terry Funk.
Ooh.
That's from the MLW King of Kings event. Second on my list, I've got Bryan versus Orton versus Batista. Third on my list is the Ladder Wars match that I'm surprised didn't pop up on more, between the Addiction, Motor City Machine Guns, and the Young Bucks. They fucking absolutely murdered each other at that event. 4 is Daniels versus Joe versus Styles, obviously. And 5, Triple H versus Michaels versus Benoit.
Scott got us like a partial list. I don't know if I got it to you, but he didn't get the whole thing.
Yeah, he only liked 2 triple threat matches.
2 or 3 of them. And he brought up that, like, we talked about this too. Like, I'm not generally a big fan of triple threat matches. That's why this list was a little hard for me. Like, you know, there's some good ones on this list, but for the most part, I like classic one-on-one matches.
I'm a Hell in a Cell guy, Fuck, not Hell in a Cell. I don't know how I dropped the ball on that. War Games guy.
Yeah, War Games are always
good.
Give me 2 rings, a cage. I'm fucking all about it.
Yeah, that was fun. The thing, too, is I think it's just overexposure with a lot of it. How many fucking triple threat matches have we had over the years? It's like, it's just not, like Elimination Chamber is like an event now.
Yeah.
And we have multiple. It's like, I don't care.
You've got the inherent problem of if there's a triple threat match, there's 2 guys fighting, one guy's doing what?
Right. One guy has to be laid out.
Exactly, yeah.
Who got left here?
Yeah, Sheaf's brought us a list. He has Triple H versus Michaels versus Benoit, Styles versus Daniels versus Joe, Hardys versus Dudleys versus Edge and Christian, another Super Crazy versus Tajiri versus Little Guido match.
They have some good ones. They have some good ones. I can actually say they wrestled on TNT a few times.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then Bryan versus Orton versus Batista again. Mm-hmm. Jesse got us a list. This is an interesting list, and he's the one that brought us the idea.
Yeah.
He had Mysterio versus Eddie Guerrero versus CM Punk from IWA Mid-South.
Oh, I've seen that. That is fucking excellent. Somebody showed me a DVD of that. Yep.
He's got Triple H versus Shawn Michaels versus Benoit, Joe versus Daniels versus Styles, Funk versus Sabu versus Douglas, and then Angle versus Benoit versus Jericho.
Is that from WrestleMania?
Yeah, I kind of want to look that up.
Yeah, Intercontinental / European title. Angle lost both without getting pinned by either fall. Yeah, that was weird. Yeah.
Now, Dave, what's on your list? You're the only you've
main event time, baby. All right. So WrestleMania 20, Benoit, Triple H, HBK. It was the very first one that popped in my mind. Say what you will about Benoit, the person, and how his life ended. I noticed some AJ still goes on about how great he is, and we need to forget about that. But he's been hiding.
Yeah, he murdered a few people.
Yeah, so, I know, right? Whatever. Right? I guess
mistakes were made.
That's what AJ says, anyway. But anyway,
yeah, those aren't my words, by the way.
Yeah. Anyway,
don't take the podcast away.
That's all we got. So, WrestleMania 30. I'm a huge Daniel Bryan mark. So, like Jake says, the story. Like when Bryan, we knew. These motherfuckers, no offense, I do like the WWE at time, but I'm going to say it. These motherfuckers didn't want to put the belt on him. They didn't want to give him what he deserved. And we had to literally, they tried to say at a press conference one time, at one of their quarterly meetings with a stock, that, oh yeah, there's a vocal minority that wants him and it's, getting upset. No, it's not a vocal minority when they're doing the yes chants in hockey games and basketball games. It's like, clearly this guy's over.
I've never been more frustrated.
Yeah, no, I will. And actually, I remember.
Isn't a vocal minority the easiest way to say they've slightly got the majority now?
Yeah, it's so ridiculous. And I remember showing the Daniel Bryan story to people that weren't even wrestling fans and what was going on, and they just ate it up. Like, people got super excited with that. And, hey, at the end, at least for a little while, they did put the belt on him. WrestleMania 30. 10 WrestleManias after that triple threat match with Benoit, Triple H, and HBK, we had another good one, thankfully for the story, and I was happy to see Bryan won. And that was also the same WrestleMania where Taker's undefeated streak got ended, too. So.
Yep. That's right, yeah.
TNA. I'm not a big TNA fan overall. They've done some okay stuff here and there. I try not to trash them, but in the end, it's just not something you would probably see on my list a lot of times. But Daniels, Joe, Styles is just amazing. Go out of your way to watch that.
That was fantastic.
Yeah, and then I had an ECW one on here too.
Little Guido Super Crazy.
It was not Little Guido Super Crazy. Not.
Did I shit on the sleeper head of the
It was actually it was Terry Funk, Tommy Dreamer, and Steven Richards, and the winner was going to face Raven, and it was on the first ECW pay-per-view. This is where Terry Funk won, and then went on to beat Raven for the title. And yeah, it was right. I guess Terry got the win with like a Cradle Small package or something. And the pay-per-view went off the air, and the satellite feed apparently was on 10 seconds later. They were literally about to almost miss the finish. They
didn't pay that bill.
Wow.
And finally, I want to say, you guys can correct me on this, it's Edge, Christian versus the Dudleys and Hardy Boys. But I think it's WrestleMania 17, which one it was, where Edge did the spear onto Hardy. when they were both coming off the ladder. Yeah. That, to me, is always just one of the most epic moments. And I want to say that's the same match as they got Rhino, Spike Dudley, and Lita involved, too. And, forever a big fan of those guys. Forever a big fan of that match. And I don't know if that was 17, but if it was, whatever one it was, like, that is one of my favorite triple threat tag matches.
Yeah, that spot was unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, it still holds up to this day.
All right, now that we got everybody's top 5 list in, a couple matches, or there's been several matches that have made both lists. Styles versus Daniels versus Joe, almost a shoe-in. Triple H versus Shawn Michaels versus Benoit, another shoe-in.
Yep.
And since we have a guest on the phone this week, we're going to give Jake the option of what's going to be going into the third slot. It can be something that's appeared on multiple lists, or even just a match that you feel particular about, that you feel has got to make it in the top 3.
I think being the first, the Funk Douglas Sabu, I remember that match when it happened, PWI and all the wrestling magazines, how different it was, and how, I mean, because, for better or worse, because of that match, where we're at now, it's like a triple three-way dance, triple threat match seemingly every week. I might want to put that one on for the historical significance of that, being the first, or at least billed as the first. I don't know what was the first.
Yeah.
That's a good choice.
It's a good choice. I mean, Sasha, Charlotte, and Bailey that AJ had, I mean, I was kind of...
Yeah, I mean, that was a hard second, that match. Charlotte, Bailey.
Yeah.
That was coming in hard number 2, but I just couldn't pull the trigger on that one.
Yeah, no, I get it. I mean, at the end of the day, right.
There's always ones that aren't going to make it. So now that we got our top 3 in there, what's the first to go? It's tough because you've got 3 heavy hitters.
Yeah. Oh, man. That's tough. I mean, look, say what you will, but that story with Benoit at the time, WrestleMania 20, was almost similar to the Bryan, like we're talking about years later. Like, we never expected...
Yeah.
Benoit was our boy at the time. We can all say that. And we never thought he was going to get the heavyweight title. That was amazing. And then have him and Eddie Guerrero. Yeah.
Do you remember there was a Clash of the Champions with Benoit, and Benoit was wrestling the Giant at the time. And I remember getting so excited because I was like, how is this match going to play out? We're finally, WCW is going to see how great Benoit is, and he's gonna do something amazing with the Giant. And Benoit got his arm caught in his sleeveless vest that he was wearing, which I guess sleeveless makes the vest, and he got squashed in 8 seconds.
I remember what you're talking
the Giant,
about.
ran across the ring, splashed him, chokeslammed him, pinned him.
And Jay, as you say that, how similar is that do we just think about too? I was comparing this to Bryan. The year before the WrestleMania Bryan won, he got squashed by Sheamus when he was fooling around with AJ looking for a kiss, and he turned around and got broke kicked and lost in 8 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, it's wrestling makes you so unbelievably angry sometimes.
Yeah,
just so frustrating. And yeah, I mean, Benoit was the guy. I would watch any Benoit match that was around. I still remember getting a phone call, or actually no, Zach texted me about the whole situation with Benoit. And man, yeah, he was great for what he did before.
So for our top 3 list, you guys almost think Styles versus Daniels versus Joe comes off? Because you got the big Benoit story, and then you've also got the importance of the Funk Douglas Sabu match. With those 2 stories, does that almost make Styles, Daniels, Joe go to the back burner?
You know, honestly, I say...
It's a good match.
They're all good.
Yeah.
They're all good. Maybe just for giggles, I'd like to kind of take the big WWE match off of it, even though like it's got a great...
So take the Benoit out of there?
Yeah, I'd like to see it down to the because I mean, how often do we put TNA on our list anyway, too? True. But this fucking match...
Yeah, give him a bone. Give him something to hang
right.
God, every time we talk good about Benoit, we either take him off the list or be like, can't talk about him anymore.
We're only going to commit so far with that.
It's tough. I mean, it's almost like after you talk good about it, you remember everything that happened afterwards, and you got to make amends or something. I don't know, but... Yeah.
True. So now we're down to Styles versus Daniels versus Joe, Funk versus Douglas versus Sabu. Who do you put over and why?
Jake, I'll give you the floor, buddy. What are you thinking?
All right. Now, I am going to say that the match itself, Bryan, Orton, Batista, wasn't what I would look for in a match. Not my favorite type of match. However, Daniel Bryan was and remains one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. Samoa Joe, Styles, Christopher Daniels, that match I could watch 100 times. It was the work rate, everything about it was fantastic. But my guy Daniel Bryan won the world title legitimately, so I'm going to have to put that one in the number one spot.
All right, so we the other one Joe had up there was the ECW one, so we weren't actually going to... That one had kind of left the conversation, Jake. But since you brought it back, I'm glad you did, because I was thinking the whole time.
I thought we just forgot about ECW.
No, yeah. But you know what? I'm kind of glad you said that, because the whole time I was thinking about Bryan too, and it was kind of annoying me that it wasn't in there. But I wasn't going to say that because I knew you weren't new to the 5-3-1, and you and Joe having this discussion. I'm like, man, I kind of wish the fucking Bryan match was in there, because that one meant more to me. So
you know what? We got a guest, so it's going to be the guest pick, and it was one of those triple threat matches that's newer in our memory. Dave, got to get that do not disturb next time, bro.
Yeah, baby, they're coming in.
But,
These hoes are calling me.
Jesus, so we're going to give it to Bryan versus Orton versus Batista. Jake, thanks for listening, and thanks for sitting in with us this week.
Awesome, thank you. I had a great time.
Awesome, man.
Guys, thank you for listening to the 531 here on YouTube this week. If you like what you hear, you can always find us on Anchor FM, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Breaker, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, and on the Apple Podcast where you can subscribe and also give us a 5-star rating. We appreciate you listening. We want your feedback, 531, and if you agree with us, if you disagree with us, we also want you to let us know, and let us know what your 531 would be. Come up with a top 5 and let us know, and we'll tell you why you're wrong. And in order for us to do that, please contact us on Twitter. We're at Fans Working. Facebook page, Working Fans Wrestling Pod. Email workingfanswrestlingpod@gmail.com. It's very important that you actually contact us on these platforms, because we want this to be your interactive place to talk wrestling.